just a second ago, we were up top on that big hopper, and now we're down at the base. You can see the smaller hopper right here. All the different sands and gravels get mixed in this one hopper, where they then go up this conveyor belt, and they fall into that truck right there. That big red container right there holds all the cement. Now, if you remember, the cement has to be kept dry, so it has a top on it. And now that cement comes down, flows up through this pipe right here, and this pipe takes it up to the top, where it puts it straight into the truck. So these big containers right here hold different chemicals and products, such as fiber and water reducer, that goes in the concrete. Now, if you look over here, this is where they measure out the correct amounts of each to put in there. Now, fiber, you can imagine, is a bunch of just little fibers. When you put it in the concrete, it acts as a mesh, which holds it together and makes it stronger. And water reducer is a chemical that enables Bradley Ready Mix to put in less water into a product, but still have it easy to work with. Now, the more water you put in, the weaker the concrete gets, because concrete shrinks as it dries. More water, it shrinks more. So this way you have strong concrete that's easy to work with. You can get a better product. Now, have you ever noticed that not all concrete's gray? A lot of it's red, yellow, or even blue. And how they do that is right here with the coloring system. You'll hear it right away. They use Davis colors. They're just a bunch of pigments and dyes that get mixed together and then put straight into the truck. And that color makes the concrete whatever color the customer wants it to be. So here we are with one of Bradley Ready Mix's concrete trucks. You notice it's in Kenworth. They're made up in Seattle. And this truck here holds 9 cubic yards of concrete. You notice it has 4 axles, 1 in the front, 2 down below right here. Finally, the final axle is up in the air right now. While in the yard, they keep it up, but when it's full and on the roads, they put that last axle down to support more weight. So here I am in the inside of a concrete truck. Now, it looks a lot like a normal car. It's manual, but what I want you to see right here is the slump indicator. Now, the slump indicator measures how hard it is for the motor to turn that drum on the back of the truck. The harder it is, the stiffer the concrete. The easier it is, the more wet the concrete. So this is how the driver knows how to get the perfect amount of water in the concrete to make it easy to work with, but so there's not so much water that it shrinks and messes up the concrete and it loses some of its structural integrity and it doesn't look as good. So I'm sure many of you don't know what the inside of a concrete truck actually looks like. That big barrel up there, it's like a big corkscrew. So as they load the truck and as the truck drives down the road, the corkscrew is turning and forcing the concrete into the truck and it mixes it up. But when they want to unload a truck, the barrel turns in the other direction, so that corkscrew starts pushing concrete out as opposed to pulling it in. Concrete then gets pushed out through that opening right there, slides down the tailgate, and it falls out to a wheelbarrow or straight to the ground or to a pump, whatever the customer wants. Now, one major change you're going to notice with concrete trucks is up until about 5 years ago, the barrels, they were all made with steel, so they were very heavy. But now, they're now made with fiberglass as opposed to steel, so they're much lighter. And as they turn, they actually vibrate a little bit. So in the older trucks, the concrete would dry and stick to the metal. But now, that concrete doesn't dry anymore. And so they no longer have to go in there with jackhammers to jackhammer out that dried up concrete. Alright, so they're about to begin batching this truck. So that big hopper we were up on, right now it's emptying all the sand and gravel down to the smaller hopper. The truck is now turning, and that corkscrew inside of it is going to start mixing up all the sand and gravel and cement and water. So right now, this big hopper right here, it's full of sand and gravel. You notice it starts to empty down on the conveyor belt. Now the conveyor belt's taking up to the top of the truck, where it's getting mixed with all the cement and water and all the sand and gravel, all getting mixed together to form the concrete. right now, Martin, the truck driver, he's checking his slump meter to make sure the amount of water is appropriate. If it's slump meter is reading too high, it's too hard to turn the concrete, and the concrete's too dry. If the slump meter is too low, then the concrete's too wet, and it's easy to turn. Alright, so what happened is that concrete was a little bit too wet, and so he can't take away water, so what he has to do is actually put in more sand and gravel and cement to use up some of that water, so the concrete's a little bit thicker, it doesn't have the same slump. Good?
Yeah. Is that good enough?
I don't know so much about concrete.